right, good afternoon. We're here on Philly Jazz Blog with legendary drummer, Mr. Lucky Thompson. So Lucky, we're going to let the audience right off the bat know how you got started in the music and what drives you.
Okay, I started playing when I was about 5 years old. I started off in the church. I started playing professionally when I turned 8.
Okay.
Yeah, my first professional gig was with Chico Booth. And I was at a club called Tally's Paradise, which was right down the street from where I used to live. I was across the tracks.
So you're a South. Okay, so you're a South Philly boy.
South Philly,
actually,
born and raised.
I was born at 2800 South Marshall Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I lived between Johnson and Bigler and 6 and 7, so you know where I lived at. And there's a commonality we have already.
Yeah, South Philly, born and raised.
Okay, so after that, after South Philly and playing a little in the church, what got you started with jazz?
Oh, well, fortunately, I was able to come up during the period where we had a lot of different music influences. There, a lot of R&B, yeah, gospel, I had rock, what they call the British Invasion, and a lot of soul music, and also jazz. So I started getting into jazz a little bit more because it left me the improvisation thing, creativity, to be able to
let you go wider.
To be able to expand, not only musically, be able to expand you on your instrument.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's what got me into jazz.
All right. Because a lot of musicians, choose other paths, but it's always interesting, I think, for the audience to know what made you pick jazz, choose jazz, and then stay with it. So thank you for that insight. But who were some of your role models in the music? Who did you think were the people you ought to follow?
Okay. Well, the man that got me really interested in entertaining was James Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a funny story. Yeah, it's a funny story about that. I think I must have been about 9, 10. My father took me to a movie called the Royal Theater.
Okay.
I was right there on South Street. I went to, and I saw James Brown in this movie. It was called Ski Party. It had Ned Funicello and Frankie Avalon.
Okay.
And James Brown had about a 7-10 minute segment.
Okay.
Where he just came up there, he was dancing and sliding on it. And I was a good dancer when I was younger. Okay. Like that. So my pop took me in. Next thing you know, I jumped up and started dancing in the aisle. Right. And like all these girls just surrounded me because they all wanted to dance with me. They wow. Too. And my pop was just so proud of himself, sticking it all out like that. And the security usher came in. He thought it was a fight. Right. Until he saw they was all just around me and I was dancing and dancing with all the different girls. Yeah. So they got me involved in entertainment, but what got me into really playing jazz and playing was listening to like the jazz drummers, like Art Blakey, Max, and David Garibaldi. I really liked Art because I liked his lead, not only his playing but his leadership. Okay. You know how he led his musicians, because everybody that came in Art Blakey's band went off to be a great band leader themselves.
And they also began schooling people too, passing it on.
Right.
So, and that's a very important quality of what I think is the millennium jazz musician. And so I know you do some things with young people. Why don't you share with the audience some of the things you're doing to pass it forward?
Yeah, well, okay, I do some private teaching, and also I teach over the University of Pennsylvania, where I get a chance to run into like a lot of very talented musicians. Okay. All right. There's one gentleman that comes to mind. His name is Tony Peoples. Okay. He's a young alto saxophonist. He's graduated from the University of Penn, and he also just graduated from the University of the Arts, and I believe he has his master's now. Okay. He's a great alto saxophonist. He has a very, very bright future, and I'm glad that I got a chance to meet him through the luck of Professor Guy Ramsey, who introduced me to him.
Okay, so that's a name to look out for. You should keep your ear out for Tony Peoples.
Tony Peoples, great alto saxophone.
All right, and I know you also do a lot of community-based stuff, like with the Saturday thing at Natalie's. Why don't you share that with the audience?
Well, every Saturday we do the jam sit down. Natalie's is the longest-running jazz house in the city of Philadelphia. It's been there for over 50 years. Wow. And it's every Saturday from 5 to midnight. We have an open jam session, and every first Saturday of the month we have a featured artist. Okay. We just bring in somebody different just to feature them for that day. But it's an open jam session where a lot of the younger musicians get a chance to mingle with the older musicians.
That's a great thing.
And they can come and cut what they call cut your teeth.
Right.
You know, and learn how to get your thing together.
Right. With a good family-like atmosphere at Natalie's. So, folks, to the listening audience, if you get a chance to come to Philadelphia, make sure you check out Natalie's. Even on Saturday afternoon, as early as 5.
Yeah, 5 to midnight.
Yeah, you can catch some music and see that interaction. But I know also you're about to play, I believe, at the Ogontz Grill coming up soon, aren't you?
Yeah, it'll be April the 28th. I'll be at the Ogontz Grill, and I'm using a different band. It's called the True Funk Soldiers. We're doing some old head funk from back in the 70s, and some newer stuff with a little twist to it. But we're trying to, so there's always good to try to experiment and do different things.
Right.
Getting a chance to play with some very good musicians. Sammy Jones is on the bass. My longtime friend Mr. Winston Gay is on guitar and vocals, and another young gentleman that was in Europe with me. His name is Adam Falk. He's playing piano, and myself on the drums.
Okay, so folks, you can get down to the Ogontz Grill and check out Mr. Lucky Thompson and a dynamic group of talented individuals on April 28th. And if you're not in Philadelphia and able to make that show, Lucky's going to be doing some things later this summer. So, Lucky, why don't you talk about some other things you'll be doing? Yeah,
we'll be doing the West Oak Lane Jazz Festival.
Okay.
I have the pleasure of being able to perform on that again this year. I'll be a part of we call it the Organ Summit, where we'll be paying tribute to the late great Jimmy Smith and a lot of the organists from Philadelphia, like Trudy Pitts,
Joey DeFrancesco.
Joey DeFrancesco, one of the main headliners. Mr. Lumpy King, and Rich Podesta, Rich and Rob Podesta, the Podesta brothers, are going to be running it. So I'll get a chance to play with them.
Fantastic. Name some other young people maybe that you've worked with, maybe even a drummer that you know that's coming up and that people ought to listen out for too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good young guys out here. You know, I have a couple, like so many like younger children that you might not be familiar with, but they're like personal friends of mine and grandkids of somebody.
Right. In the music business.
Yeah, in the music business. And I teach, I get like a lot of private lessons with young gentlemen by the name of Henry. He's coming up. He lives right in Southwest Philly. I'll be teaching him on Saturday. And he's coming along because the parents want them to do something that's creative.
Gotcha.
And to keep their mind, focused. And when I was coming, I came up to the gang war era and all of that, and then music kept me focused.
Right. Kept me out of it.
Yeah, so it kept me away from that because I was practicing all the time.
Sure. Yeah, I had athletics keep me out of trouble too. I played ball. I didn't have time for the madness.
Yeah.
So parents, you need to find something for your children to do, just in general, whatever that might be, to get rid of some of that youthful energy. Hopefully they translate it into an artistic thing like music or art or something, so they can give back. Because I know you give a lot back to the community with the things you do, and between the tutoring and mentoring the young people, the thing at Natalie's. Why don't you tell people where they can hear your music at, though, because they might be interested in getting a CD.
Okay, well, you can get my CD online at phillythroughmyear.com and also at CDBaby. The name of the CD is Lucky Thompson and His DNA. Everybody ought to have one. It's on the PTME label, which is started and owned and operated by Mr. Will Smith Sr.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
And we also have a DVD out as well. Get that online as well.
All right, cool, folks. So make sure you visit phillythroughmyear.com or cdbaby.com and check out the music of Mr. Lucky Thompson, and I'm sure you'll be glad you did. Lucky, are there other things you'd like to share with our listening audience about what you're doing or your music or who you played with, just to give them some more background about you?
Okay, well, I've had the pleasure of playing with a lot of different artists. Nina Simone, Billy Paul, Patti LaBelle, Hal Melton, the Blue Notes, Blue Magic. Played with all the Philly artists, all the vocalists like Val Ray, Barbara Walker, Michelle Beckham, Denise King, all the divas. Played with all the divas, Nina Bundy, all the divas. I played with all the divas, and they're my girls. So.
They're a talented group of people, and they were out in force at the Philly Jazz Blog event celebrating Cousin Mary the other night. They, in fact, invaded the stage at one time, and everybody was up there, all of them, and then Pearl went up, Nina went up, and we even had Carol Harris.
Oh, okay.
In the thing, and she went at it with Terrence Brown doing a back and forth thing.
Oh
man, classic.
It was
classic. It was classic. So, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking with Leon Mitchell, and I asked him the same question I'm going to ask you. And I think you already answered it by saying Tony Peoples, but Leon Mitchell told me that the person to look out for was Terrence Brown. I asked him of all the people who were coming up, you know, part of Clef Club family or the larger Philadelphia scene, and first thing out his mouth, he named a number of other people, but he said Terrence Brown. And now you're telling us Tony Peoples. So it seems like the brass is getting out there. You know, we got some talent in the brass, and of course, you know, we were talking about the Mecca where John Coltrane and Lee Morgan and the likes all came from. By the way, did you ever have the opportunity to meet or be around any of those people? I know you're not as old as some of the other musicians around here, but...
Yeah, well, a lot of them are like Lex Humphrey, legendary drummer Lex Humphrey. And then, of course, like Mickey Roker, a lot of them still around, like Shirley Scott and all them, you know, so... I got a chance to meet and be with a lot of them. Some of them are still here, some of them unfortunately have gone on. Because I always tell everybody, I said when a musician passes, we never die, we just diminish.
You know? We're not playing as much. It's harder to catch us.
We just diminish, we just take it away. You know? You know,
and we just lost Sherman Ferguson.
There you go. Oh yeah, Sherman, very talented. Very talented.
Odine Pope told me a great story about that because Odine lived next door to Sherman Ferguson. On a little street down North Philly, and Sherman came over to watch Odine and eventually said, I'm getting me a set of drums, and look what happened. There it is. You know?
That's how it happened.
Right. So anyway, Lucky, thank you for joining us. Folks that are listening or watching this, please keep tuned to Philly Jazz Blog. We'll be talking with a lot of other people in the near future and keeping a finger on the pulse of music in Philly. So for now, we're signing off from Philly Jazz Blog with today's guest, Lucky Thompson, and thank you.
Thank you.